as we start to gather a little bit, you may be asking yourself, what is the best thing I can make for my dinner party that's minimal effort, easy, simple, and that everybody will like? Today I'm gonna show you just that. I'm gonna make pan roasted chicken with a simple bean salad and my grandmother's personal favorite, pound cake with a berry compote. So we're gonna start with our pan roasted chicken. What will you need? You're gonna need, of course, a chicken. You're gonna need salt, cumin, smoked paprika, and black pepper. Okay, first things first, we're gonna start to prep our chicken. And usually I get about a 1 to 2 pound chicken, but today the store had a killer deal on tiny dinosaurs. So we decided to go with that. Usually this will feed about 8 to 10 people, but since our chicken is so large, I'm just gonna cook half of it. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take the back out of it. So we're just gonna go right down the spine. Sometimes some of it is a little bit tough, but that's it. We're just gonna press down, just like that. And then with a sharp knife, you wanna go right down that breastbone and you're gonna find your wishbone right here, okay? Then, just like that, you got half a chicken. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna season it. You wanna season it with a generous amount of salt because remember, this chicken is very, very thick. So you're not only seasoning the top layer, you're seasoning the inside also. So you always want to season from up high, just so that you get nice even coverage and you don't have pockets that are over salted and pockets that are under salted. Next we have our ground cumin, and a little bit goes a long way, so you don't have to add too much, you just want a little bit of that flavor to it. And then we have our smoked paprika, and since we're doing this in a pan, that's gonna give you that nice smoky element. You wanna be nice and liberal with this because that's where a lot of our flavor is gonna come from. Next we have our fresh ground pepper, and you wanna use fresh spices just so that you get the most out of it, okay? And again, just like the salt, we're gonna do a nice, generous amount. Now we're gonna season this other side with our clean hand. Now I like to add a little bit more on the skin side just because that's what everybody's gonna see. That's your presentation side. All right, so we got our pan smoking hot. And that's super important just so that you get a nice caramelization, a nice crust on your chicken. So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add just a little bit of oil. You use any kind of neutral oil, olive oil or canola oil is 100% fine. So we're gonna put this right in here. Push it down a little bit just to get nice even contact. And we're gonna let that go probably for about 5 minutes. Now that we got some nice color on it, we're gonna put it into our 425-degree oven to let it finish cooking for about 20 to 25 minutes. And now it's time to prepare our pea salad. And what you'll need is mint, diced sweet onion, diced red bell peppers, you need some cherry tomatoes, some bacon, Duke's mayonnaise, garlic, apple cider vinegar, olive oil, and of course, peas. So we're gonna add in some of our English peas and French beans. And I'm gonna add in just a little bit of garlic. That's just gonna add some depth to our overall salad. And we're gonna add in our bacon, and we save the fat because that's where you're gonna get a lot of that flavor, okay? You can also get a little bit of salinity from it, just so you won't have to season as much. Next, we're gonna add in our bell peppers, all right? You can use yellow, red. I just wouldn't recommend using green because you want that nice pop of color that red and yellow bell peppers will give you. Next, we have our sweet onion. You can substitute, if you can't find sweet onion, please substitute red onion. You do not want to use yellow. You want that sweetness and that freshness to come through in your onions. Next, we have our mint. So we're just gonna add in some of this, and this is just gonna add a nice freshness and keep the overall salad nice and light. Next, we're gonna add in our whole cherry tomatoes. I like the pop of flavor that you get when you bite into a whole cherry tomato. It just adds a lot of texture. All right, so now we're gonna mix our dressing. And this is a mayonnaise-based dressing just so it kind of clings to all these vegetables. So we're gonna get about 12 ounces of Duke's mayonnaise. You can use any kind of mayonnaise you want to, but I love the flavor of Duke's. I love the consistency, I love everything about it. I'm gonna add in our apple cider vinegar. And it doesn't have to be completely smooth. You just wanna give it a head start before you add it into your salad, all right? Now we're gonna drizzle in a little bit of olive oil. We're just gonna pour that all over. Now we're just gonna go ahead and add in our salt and pepper. And please, 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 do not be shy with the pepper because green vegetables love pepper, all right? I'm gonna go ahead and add in some salt. And remember, We already added bacon, so we don't need to add that much salt because you get that saltiness from all the bacon and all the fat that we saved also, right? And that's it, it's that simple. And now for the reason everybody is here, we're ready to make our pound cake. What you're gonna need is sugar, flour, salt, baking powder, vanilla extract, milk, eggs, and softened butter. We're gonna sift our flour and our baking powder first. So we're gonna do a half teaspoon of baking powder, okay, and we're just gonna throw that in our bowl. And then I'm gonna take this handy dandy sifter. We're gonna sift our flour just so that we get all those little lumps out, just so that it's a nice even texture and consistency. So we're just gonna sift the rest of this. And then it's time to add a little bit of salt. You may be asking yourself, why are you adding salt to a dessert? We're adding it because salt makes everything taste more like what it is. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna add a little pinch. You can use kosher salt, iodized salt, sea salt, whatever you want. Now, we're just gonna take our whisk. We're gonna whisk everything together just to make sure that everything is evenly incorporated. Now it's time to move over to our wet ingredients. So we're gonna get our 6 eggs. You wanna do the eggs first just to make it a lot easier to whisk up and get, again, a homogeneous mixture. And whenever you're whisking anything, you want to make sure that you're incorporating a little bit of air. You wanna go down into the bowl and bring it up. That is the best way to whisk an eggs. As you can see, we've been whisking this for about 15 seconds. We're there. Next, we're gonna add in our sugar. And it may seem like a lot of sugar to you, but remember, it's pound cake. It's supposed to be unhealthy. So we're gonna whisk that in also. Now, we're gonna add in our softened butter. Now we're gonna add in our milk. And it is important that everything is room temperature. That just makes the eggs easier to mix. That makes the butter easier to incorporate into everything. And then if your milk is at room temperature also, it doesn't solidify that butter back. All right, so we have our nice mixture here. Now it's time to add the flavoring, okay? Please, 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 spend the extra $5, get yourself some real vanilla extract, just because you're gonna get a lot of those floral notes. You're gonna get a lot more vanilla-y flavor. Whenever you're making a pound cake, this is your only flavoring that you're gonna have. So we're just gonna add 2 tablespoons. What we're gonna do here, we're gonna make a little well in the middle of our bowl. Then we're just gonna pour in a little bit of our liquid, maybe about 1/3 of it, just to get it going. And at this point, you want to try and whisk or mix with purpose. You don't want to do a lot of unnecessary mixing because that's gonna develop gluten and it's gonna make your end result be a little bit tough. We want to have a nice texture crumb to our cake, okay? So it's kind of like a pancake batter. It doesn't have to be 100% smooth. Okay, so you got your bowl full of batter. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna spray our pan with a little bit of pan spray. You can use butter, oil, just make sure it's a neutral oil. What we're gonna do is we're gonna spray it. All these sprays, all these pans are non-stick, so you don't have to worry too much about it sticking. So what we're gonna do is you're just gonna pour this into an even layer. We're gonna put our bundt pan and our pound cake into our preheated 325-degree oven. No more, no less, and we're gonna cook this for 1 hour. We're gonna rotate it every 30 minutes, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and make our berry compote. And what you'll need is strawberries, raspberries, sugar, basil, and salt. You're gonna just quarter some strawberries and take the tops off, of course. I'm gonna go ahead and add that into our bowl. Now we're gonna get our raspberries, add those in also. We're gonna add a little bit of sugar. You don't want it to be too sweet, just enough to really taste it. Just because you got berries in there, you have the sugar in the cake also. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the back of our spoon and just kind of push all those berries down just to kind of create a little bit of a sauce. Just give that a little mix around. And then we're gonna add in our basil. And this is just gonna add a nice earthy sweetness and a nice herbal sweetness. Just gonna mix that around. And then I'm gonna add in salt. And salt is just gonna bring out all the natural sweetness in the basil and in the raspberries and strawberries. It's just gonna amplify everything to give everything a real nice round flavor. You don't need a lot, a little bit goes a long way. And that's it, that's how you make a berry compote. So we're just gonna add this right into the center. I have some whipped cream. I just bought some heavy whipping cream and I whipped it by hand, but feel free to just buy some Cool Whip and just put it right on top. You don't have to go the extra mile like I did. We're just gonna take that, I'm just gonna dollop it right on top, but that's it. That's how you make a beautiful, beautiful pound cake just like my grandmother. All right, and it's that simple. Prep everything the day ahead, cook everything the day of, impress your guests with this beautiful summer menu with a chef touch. And your guests will thank you for the wonderful summer meal.